Hello traders, welcome to the recap for the 12th of March. And it was an excellent European morning. Had 4 trades, 3 wins, 1 loss. Normally I do trade the New York morning as well, but as many of you know, I've been really focused on some of my futures trading lately. Been trading the ES, and turned out that there wasn't a whole lot of action on the ES today. There was really good action in foreign exchange. So I'll cover that as well, but I didn't actually trade New York, just stuck to the European morning. And we've got the time zone changes happening right now, where at the end of the month everything will kind of shift back to normal. But at least for the time being, we've got the rather unusual just 1 hour gap there between 11 o'clock London and then the initial New York Open. Usually we have a couple hours in there where I don't trade. So things are a little bit different. The action is a little bit different at times, but for the most part, things are still fairly straightforward in terms of the setups and the timing and that sort of thing. So it got started off with a pretty ideal short here at mid Frankfurt, and as you can see, this was an area that we pulled back into. I really liked what I was seeing in terms of setup. I thought the timing was excellent. The only thing I didn't quite like was my entry scenario here. I thought it was a little bit too extended for me. So what I did is I waited for a couple pips of pullback before I entered this trade. And that's a risky thing to do at times, because sometimes the trade simply won't pull back. You won't get your chance. But it is something that in the right situations I'm willing to do, especially if I'm not comfortable with that initial entry. I'm not going to push myself into something I'm not comfortable with. So I'd much prefer to wait for price to pull back just a little bit, to risk potentially missing that trade so I'm more comfortable in the trade when I do get in. So I got in that one. We had a pretty good push down. Hesitated a little bit at London Open, but based on the trending move that we had going on through Frankfurt and even earlier than that, I was hoping for a little bit more downside, potentially very large downside. Occasionally you see London Open really push these things a long ways. We did get that push down, but unfortunately we started to really bottom out down here. We started to see a lot of volume coming into the market, a lot of indications that it was probably time to get out, or potentially to even see a reversal here. So I did get out for 22 pips when we started to really fulfill that bottoming pattern. I point this out here, the thumbs up, just because this is an area where an aggressive trader could potentially take a long. I was still dealing with my trade. I didn't feel quite ready to just exit and reverse, but a trader who did that would have been in a winning position. I instead just got out of that trade, waited for the next potential setup, which was right here, a type 1, which fit all our criteria. Had a little bit of a journey up, and then we started to come back down, but there really wasn't enough in the trade at that point for me to think of exiting. I'm not really interested in anything less than 10 pips if I can help it, so no real interest in exiting in there. I decided to just hold on, wait, see what would happen, see if we would get another leg up. And then once we did, with a pretty perfect pattern, again, a second entry opportunity on that trade, once I saw that, I knew that we had a very good chance of getting back up into this support and resistance zone here. And so I just set my target at that area. It almost hit here, and then it did hit on the second attempt. You could potentially wait for the reaction in that area, and normally, as you've seen in my recaps, that is what I do, wait for the reaction before getting out. But because this wasn't that strong of a move up, we didn't have a ton of momentum, I just decided to take my profit right at that level without waiting to see what would happen. And from there, based on a lot of the factors that were happening on the M5, something we look for as more advanced traders, a lot of the M5 indications that can get us into some more difficult trades to master, but that have very good potential risk reward if we can get them right. All that sort of stuff lined up in here, and I saw an excellent opportunity to take a short off that level for a type 3. And this is one that I was kind of hoping again to get these lows where we had bottomed out into London. But unfortunately the 1.3 level did hold a couple times, and I'm not really going to mess around with a level like that. I'm not going to try to keep holding and see if it will go through once I have a couple of rejections and also some volume indications, things like that, that you learn in the elite range bar system. I'm more than happy just to get out of the trade. So I took 11 pips on there. Not a great trade, but still, pretty good to get anything more than 10 pips. There's nothing wrong with that. It all adds to the bottom line. And from there, I did take one final trade, which I consider a little bit foolish. I was being quite aggressive because things were moving well. I had been doing well so far. But you'll notice that with this trade here, this is definitely right in the middle of a lot of things. It's very neutral and uncertain, and so there is a risk that you take when you get into a trade like that. So even though I was hoping to get in, up into this 20 area where we have our support and resistance zone, I knew that when it failed to push up a couple times, that potentially we were just going to settle down until New York came around. So I minimized my risk a little bit. Probably should have minimized it a little bit more, to be honest, but I wanted to put my stop just below this bar low, and I got taken out for a 5 pip loss on that one. So this is a more advanced type 1 opportunity based on how flat this market was, based on it being right in the middle of the range. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to everybody, but things were going pretty well. I was feeling confident. I thought it was worth a try, and sometimes that happens. You don't have massive winners every single time. There are occasionally those trades that just that you get a little aggressive on that just don't work out for you. So from there, I was basically done trading. There was no more opportunities that I saw in here, and we hit that 11 o'clock time where I usually stop, and I didn't trade the New York morning, as I mentioned. As you can see, some pretty considerable moves occurring during New York, which is, like I said, funny because I was focusing on the ES, the S&P 500 E-mini contract, and it was not moving at all. So I really should have been at least having an eye on Forex because there was a lot more opportunity available at the time. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. There was a very good continuation here that could have been good for probably about 20 pips or so, 20, 30 pips, depending on how far you let it retrace. And then from there, it did top out. We had quite a good topping pattern up here and a very long delay heading into New York here, heading into the New York Stock Exchange Open before we had another good opportunity to potentially short. That could have been an excellent trade for some significant downside, some extra re-entries in here as well. So even though on the day, I was very happy, I thought it was an excellent morning, 43 pips, definitely can't complain, but there was potential to do a lot more as well. So hopefully you guys found that useful. You have any questions or anything, let me know. And you can check out our website, samuraiforextrading.com, and you can find out more about our elite range bar system that we use there as well. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Bye.